What due diligence do you do for land before you decide to make an offer? Now, in the process of purchasing land, there are several steps. It's not a short process. And the seller should understand that you need to do necessary due diligence while you're going through the steps. There are several questions we like to answer as we're going through these steps before we're ready to make the offer. It helps us have a good conversation with the seller and set us up for success in going through this transaction. Let me jump over here and show you a piece of land. Now, I've got my questions set up over here. The first one is, the first set of questions is, can we do what we want to do? And then the second section is, who or what could stop me? So first, we want to build a multifamily community. Looking at this, it's impossible to know on the map if we can build a multifamily community. However, I can see right here, the city has allowed a multifamily community. This development has gone in within the past few years. This being the target property. It feels like a good case for that piece of property would work for multifamily development. Now, the next question is zoning. This particular property is actually outside of the city, and here in this area, we do not do zoning for county land, at least not in Grayson County where we're looking. So there's no zoning no zoning here. We wouldn't need to rezone. Likely, we would be working with the city to a developer agreement to say, we agree that when you come to our area, that we will annex into the city without any issue. And so that's pre-negotiated. So as the city limit comes to our property, there's no questions as far as what happens next. Now, is the subdivision okay? Being that it's in the county, it's a lot more simple to get things done through the county. This is in the city's extra territorial jurisdiction, the ETJ. So they do have some rights and some authority in this on this piece of property. But for the most part, all of the questions we're going to have will go through the county. What's the minimum lot size? Again, since it's going through the county, we are going to make proposals. Their primary concerns are going to be around water quality, not necessarily the lot sizing. My next set of questions is, who or what could stop me? And so I like this set of questions. It goes through and helps me to look specifically at what is my potential blocker. First up is the topography. I'm on my GIS tool. This is MapRight. I like this tool, very good at showing me what I need to see. What I'm looking at here, again, we're on this piece of property, and I'll go ahead and highlight it for you. Let's see. We keep our eyes on it. On this property, we see there are 820 feet of elevation. On this side, 830 right here. This gets up to 840. Then coming back down 820, 810, 800, getting to 790 right here. So it looks like low point here and a medium point here. So it kind of slopes up and then curves down. So a hill is running through the property at this point. It gives us some information. It's not all of the information. There's things that we can do to mitigate if topography is the only problem we have. We can scrape some dirt from here, use it to fill in the low-lying areas and build up the retaining walls to hold that dirt in place. So not a bad problem. We just have to consider it in our offer. Next one is water and sewer sourcing. That's going to be a step where effectively we just email the state or email the city to find out where the exact sewer and water locations are. Now, in this initial phase, I can see we have a large apartment complex location right here. At a minimum, this would be the closest location. We're looking for a manhole cover and that pipe. So at a minimum, we're the closest here, but potentially as close as right here. So that is not a very far distance. We'll confirm that with the city as we move forward. But before reaching out to the city, let's go ahead and finish through the rest of the questions. Next question up, floodplain. I want to look to see, is this property in the 100 or 500 year floodplain? I just checked right here for the floodplain. I'm not seeing anything pop up. Let me scroll out. So this right here is what floodplain looks like on this map. When I select floodplain, that's what you'll see populate. Floodplain is a concern because when you are building in a location that is likely to flood, you will, one, need flood insurance, or probably need flood insurance, and two, as a responsible developer, you're going to want to put in some protections for those properties, whether it's stilts to move it up or building retaining walls or grading to move the water around the property. But when you have floodplain specifically, there's some mitigating effort that you're going to need to do in order to protect against damage to these properties. Next question is the high tension power lines. These are the big power lines. They're generally very, very tall. And right off the bat, without looking at the mapping tool, I see a few telltale signs that I look at. One, when I see land that's just arbitrarily bald like this, and it follows a straight line, that makes me wonder, are we looking at something that goes a lot longer? And as I scroll way out, you can kind of see this line going along here. And that looks like somebody gave it a buzz cut, seriously. But that doesn't, without dialing in using the tool, it's just me guessing. So I go over here, I want to look at transmission lines. Boom, there's a transmission line across the property. Not a deal breaker, but I am starting to see some concerns. We've got some topography, low land here, low land here. And then we've got this high tension power line going right here. It's entirely reasonable, if there's no other issues, to build here and build here with a simple road that crosses between the two of them. It happens all the time, not a big deal. Next is we're going to look for creek beds. Now that's different than the floodplain, so I'm looking for like wetland. I clicked on that wetland. It shows me, it looks like there's a quick creek bed that goes right across here, across the street, little pond. Or at least dry creek bed. That's not a big deal. It's not going to hold us back for really necessarily anything. So that's fine. Moving on. Going into city restrictions. There's no city restrictions right here. And because there's no city, we're in the county, then the next step would be deed restrictions according to the listing. What I'm seeing on the listing and calling the agent, there's no restrictions on the property. That's something that we're going to want to check. As we go through the title process, we'll be able to get all of the documents to show us everything about this property, who has easements, what promises have been made for this land in the future. But right now we're just doing a high level due diligence check to see, is there any reason that this property doesn't make sense for us to put an offer on? And we kind of got two strikes right here. I like to follow the three strikes or out rule. Strike number one was that high tension power line. Strike number two is the grading, where low land here, middle land here, and a high point here. Where I said you can fix a high point, having this high tension power line coming across, that's going to be a problem. Because we can usually take dirt from a high point and put it into a low point. But because this high tension power line has an easement, we're not allowed to touch that dirt. We can touch a little bit right here, but it's not going to be enough to really create the topography change that we're going to be wanting to look for. So we're at two strikes. The last one, is there any other easements? Generally, we'll find out about other easements in the research, but another one I like to check for is railroads. I don't see any railroad easements. Pipelines. Oh, there's a pipeline that goes right across the property. There you go. Three strikes, you're out. Now, pipelines by themselves, like everything else, not a deal breaker. What you can see here, this little jaunt, that is set so that the road crosses at 90 degrees, or pretty close to 90 degrees. So with the pipeline coming across the property right here, that means that what is buildable is going to be really, use this tool, you're really going to be able to build using, oh, come on, you're using this area. And we want to stay a little bit away from those pipelines. And coming down. All right, so on the bottom part of this property, we've got about 8 acres that's buildable. We do have some topography mitigation work that we'll need to do. This right here is not a lot of land. I would not plan on trying to build with it. Similar story here. I mean, short of adjusting the way that the road runs, then, let's just imagine we could be real creative with the road and go like this. All right, that'll give you an extra, let's see here, double click. All right, that gives you an extra acre of buildable land. And then right here, we're going to come like this. All right, that gives you another 3 acres. So in fact, we're looking at, this is a rough approximation. You got 4 acres, you got about 12 acres. We're purchasing 18 acres. And what's buildable is about 12 acres. And from that, you're still going to lose land to streets, and you're going to lose land to green space. We'll ask for some credits on the green space that we do leave behind. But out of 17 acres being shrunk down to 12 acres to start with, and that's even if you can fit something here. This one is kind of a bust. Probably better walk away from it. So this is why we go do the double checks. Nobody wants to start negotiating on a piece of land they're going to walk away from. So if this is useful, if you have questions about how to look at land and you'd like me to check it out, or you want to understand just a little bit more, feel free to get a hold of us. Our contact information should be available. We're Black Swan Realtor Dallas.com is our search site, and look forward to hearing from you. If you do have any questions, go ahead and follow us on Instagram if you want to see what we got going on here in the North Texas area. Have a good day.